I want to start out with my op-ed today, my Hartmann Report daily take. It's titled The Dark Rise of America's Monsters. And I point out that, you know, across Iran and the Caribbean, Trump and his lickspittles are just delighting in the killing of people, as if they were like, you know, expendable scenery, not human beings with loved ones and families. And they're ignoring the death and destruction of their fellow psychopath, Putin, that he rains down on Ukraine every night. India and America invited Iran to send an unarmed ship to the Indian Ocean to participate in military exercises. And Trump and Whiskey Pete decided it'd be fun to blow it out of the water, leaving over 100 sailors miles from shore, desperate for a rescue. And instead of saving them, as international law requires, they just left them to drown. Whiskey Pete called it quiet death. In fact, there was a lot of screaming and sobbing, although the bombers couldn't hear it from 20,000 feet, and Hegseth couldn't hear it in his drunken haze. This is just like the boat that they blew up at the Caribbean, where there was that piece of debris that the two guys were hanging on to. And as the illegal, unmarked plane comes back, they thought it was coming to rescue them. They're waving to it, and it blows them into bits of blood and gristle. And then there's Nosferatu, you know, Stephen Miller, talking about how after they bombed the girls' school in Iran, killing 160 children, this is what he had to say. He said, what you're seeing right now is a military under President Trump's leadership that is not fighting politically correct. That isn't fighting with its hands tied behind its back. And Whiskey Pete bragged, no stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise, no politically correct wars. Yeah, just blow up 160 little girls. No problem. When he was asked about the 6 American soldiers who were killed because Putin is now helping Iran target Americans in the region, Hegseth's reply was equally disgusting. He said, when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad. Really? Talking about 160 little girls killed by our military? Because perhaps we were using ChatGPT to target things, and the building that the girls were in is near an Iranian military installation, and some years ago, maybe a decade ago, was used for the military. You know, these AI programs are notorious for out-of-date data. Yeah. Talk about it, it's just to make the president look bad, right? These are the same ghouls who were delighted, who were thrilled when Renee Good got shot in the face and Alex Preddy was shot 10 times in the back. They went on TV, they were giddy, smearing them as domestic terrorists. They've killed dozens of people in their concentration camps around the country. And then there's Russell Vought, you know, the architect of Project 2025, who gleefully oversaw the firing of hundreds of thousands of federal workers, shattering their lives and their families. And he says, quote, we want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they're increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down. We want to put them in trauma. Right. Trauma. That's what Republicans today love, right? It's their drug of choice. And Vought and Musk's massive tax cuts to the federal workforce to pay for their tax break, massive cuts to the federal workforce, laying off people, to pay for their massive tax cuts for billionaires. In this case, they laid off thousands of people from the National Weather Service. So this weekend in Michigan, there was a series of tornadoes and people got little to no warning. 3 people are dead, 9 people are in the hospital. No warning. The National Weather Service offices are understaffed now. Of course, they weren't billionaires, so their lives don't matter much, right? Like the millions who lost their health insurance because the big, beautiful bill slashed ACA benefits, or the Medicaid revenue. All that stuff set aside so that we could have another $1 trillion in tax cuts for the morbidly rich. Or the pregnant women across red states who are dying at more than twice the rate of pregnant women in blue states because of these outrageous Republican anti-abortion laws. You know, Trump, Hegseth, Vance, Miller, Leavitt, This whole group of psychopaths think that this stuff makes them seem macho and tough, and apparently about 90% of Republicans agree with them. What it really does is reveal them as psychopaths, as the very human embodiment of evil. If they'd been born in different times or places, they'd be Ted Bundys or Charles Mansons. And their GOP followers would be the good Germans who are saluting and smiling as the boxcars roll by. When those 6 U.S. service members were killed by Iranian retaliation, Trump refused to remove his $50 souvenir hat, available for sale on his website, or even bow his head, and shrugged, saying, sadly, there'll likely be more. That's the way it is. Those soldiers are just suckers and losers, after all, according to Trump's worldview. They should have had the good sense of the Trump men to have bone spurs. Or like Grandpa Trump, who fled Germany after they kicked him out because he refused to show up for the draft. And then there's War Secretary Hegseth with his Crusader cross and his Diaz Volt tattoos, bragging that we've only just begun putting narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean, with no interest about who's actually on the boats. I mean, if this is actually drug interdiction, you'd interdict the drugs. You'd stop the boats. But no, this is killing from the skies. This isn't the language of leaders reluctantly using force as a last resort. This is the rhetoric of psychopaths who see the rest of humanity as disposable, as dots in a video game, as objects whose death is their entertainment, as long as their luxury and power are secured. Elon Musk throws $250 million into the 2024 election, so Trump lets him kill millions of black and brown children around the world by dismantling USAID. When a college Republican chat room devolves into Hitler-loving, black and Hispanic hating rhetoric, it's just Thursday. Just like Musk giving the Nazi salute twice. My dad's Republican Party, Mitt Romney's Republican Party, John McCain's Republican Party, Eisenhower's Republican Party is long dead and gone. And in its place is this cult built on grievance, paranoia, white supremacy, and a love for authoritarian strongmen like Putin and Orban. They delight in death and destruction. They love the language of blood and gore. They are monsters.